Okay. Thanks so much for being patient. And I'm sure we're going to have people joining us probably in the next few minutes. I usually like to give everyone just a few moments. I know people are getting off work. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and check in. Just let me know in the chat um, what hike number you're on and where you're joining from. It's always fun to see, where you're joining from and how it's going on your challenge so far. And it looks like we have Debbie from Idaho, and she's on hike 25, and that's wonderful. Excuse me. I've had a little bit of allergies. Awesome. Awesome to see that. Looks like we have Deb Lamb, and she's from Florida and on hike 15. Super. So I'm really excited for today's meeting because it's going to be really beneficial for those with maybe foot issues or questions, or how to stay in shape and fit for your hiking. So I'm really excited to present on this, and we're recording it. So if you missed anything, you can also run back and watch it again. So Catherine, Arizona, hike number 20. Dawn, Nebraska, number 15. Awesome. Patricia, Sacramento, does 2 a week, sometimes more. And she says she knows she's not counting because she's going to complete the challenge. Awesome. All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just let us get right into it. Um, Let me present my screen. 1 second here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And okay, great. So first and foremost, welcome to our May meeting. We really appreciate you being on. I want to thank our sponsors, REI and Oboz, for making the challenge possible this year. And today we're going to be going through our Oboz Footwear Hiking Shoe 101. It's going to be a mini edition of their much longer hiking footwear 101 presentation. And then after Scott speaks, we're going to be speaking with Mariela, and she will be talking all about mobility for hikers. And then we have a couple of announcements, and we're going to be doing a great giveaway on the call. So if you're on the call, you are going to be entered for a chance to win a pair of Oboz footwear. All right. So first up is Scott Wilfling, and he is a wonderful person that I've connected with in person and on these phone calls. He works for Oboz Footwear and really does a lot of education around footwear, foot health. Well, I would say more footwear 101, but he does have some tips on foot health as well. And Oboz is really centered around that. So I'll let him tell you more. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and then give Scott the mic so he can jump in and talk to us.
Great. Thank you so much, Carla. Really appreciate that that introduction. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing this evening? Good? Awesome. Great. Well, I am coming from my home here. It's about 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time in Bozeman. Just getting done with work, but I'm happy to be on this call with all of you to kind of educate you a little bit on all things Oboz footwear. Typically, our Shoe 101, just so you know, the first half is really just about the brand itself, and the second half is all about tech of the footwear. With that being said, Carla did make mention our True Shoe 101 is about 2.5 hours long. So you all are getting the very abbreviated version of Oboz Footwear Shoe 101. Anyone know what Oboz stands for? The name itself. I know that we don't need to all jump in all at once, but Oboz stands for outside bowsman. So for many of you, sometimes the light bulb goes off and okay, perfect. So this company was created in 2007 from some local shoe dogs that have been in the industry for quite some time. Individuals that knew a lot about general fit of footwear. The takeaway for you today, if I can leave you with anything, is Oboz Footwear stands for a V-shaped last. Does everybody know what a last is? Well, what I can tell you about a last is, if everybody's seen Pinocchio, remember Pinocchio's father was a shoe cobbler. He made shoes, and it always started with the general like wooden shoe outlast. And from there, you start building materials and putting in midsoles and outsoles and other products and patterns. And all of a sudden, you have a shoe. But the premise at Oboz Footwear, and the biggest takeaway that I want to leave with all of you for our footwear and why it's so successful for so many people, is it starts with the V-shaped last. And when I say a V-shaped last, just essentially think of this sculpted heel pocket right down below, with a wider forefoot up in front, leaving your foot room to splay or bend out, if you will, right? Gravity works in strange ways, right? The older we get, what happens? Our body tends to flatten out, right? Gravity works. It just pushes our body down, specifically in our feet. Some people's feet may swell worse than others as well, too. So just keeping in mind, typically we say if you're a fan of Merrill or Keen's fit overall, generally you're going to be a really good candidate for our footwear, all out of the boots. So with that being said, again, our company was created in 2007. Here we are, 2024. When I came on board, there were roughly about 22 employees. I believe I was number 22. Right now, we have 52 employees. We're a multi-million-dollar company. We have, we do sales within New Zealand, Australia, Korea, North America, South America. A small team of 52. You can imagine how much is going on in that small corporate office located on North Wallace in downtown Bozeman. It's a niche brand. It's really exciting, but we haven't even reached that 20-year mark yet. And we've come a long way in the evolution of our footwear. We sold our first pair of footwear in New Zealand. Our shoes were the previous owner of our company had some great ties with New Zealand, had been in the shoe industry for quite some time. Sold that first shoe in 2007, and then in 2008 we sold our first shoe to REI. REI is currently our #1 carrier right now. So if anybody is unfamiliar with our footwear, sure as enough, you can always go to REI and find our footwear on the shoe shelf. If you can't, you can find it at independent retailers, brick and mortars across the country. We do have a great website at www.obozfootwear.com. And as Carla mentioned, we're going to do that giveaway. So you can go ahead and order through our website and just go ahead and take a closer look at all the footwear and find out what you want or what you may need for your adventure coming up. The big takeaway here is when the company was created in 2007, it predominantly started as a hiking and backpacking company, which is great, right? Predominantly all leather, nubuck leather, suede leather boots, mid-rise, really aggressive outsole. As the years progressed, Oboz Footwear changed their dynamic. We started to offer everything from casual footwear. We often refer to it as Main Street to Mountains. We offer a recovery program, slip on, kind of like a croc, if you will, All of these shoes are readily available, and you can take a closer look on our website. We've got a strong line of insulated product with Vibram outsole with recycled shards of glass underfoot that stick to ice and are really aggressive, really great shoes all across the board. And we also have a new category for us called the fast pack category. We have the new Catabatic Win. Carla was on a call yesterday. She got to see firsthand some design influences of our new Catabatic Win in the fast pack category. This is for somebody who has a gram or ounce counter, needs something super light, fast, dry, and breathable kind of footwear. Very aggressive outsole. It's just an awesome, awesome shoe. So in 2018, going a little bit further down with the evolution of the footwear, Oboz was acquired by a company called Kathmandu out of New Zealand. They are equivalent to the REI in North America or the MEC, Mountain Equipment Co-op of Canada. Our previous owner had great ties with this company. They have been nothing shy of just a great company to work with since 2018. They let us do what we do best, and that's create quality footwear in our own backyard. Keep in mind, we have about an $18 million or 18 million acre ecosystem in our backyard with Yellowstone National Park, the greater Yellowstone Valley in our backyard for a testing ground. It's pretty unique, pretty special to us. Taking a leap forward in 2023, we started embarking on our B Corp status. As many of you may know or may not know, shoemaking is a pretty dirty business. There is a lot of byproduct, a lot of water, a lot of dyeing of chemicals and whatnot. In 2023, again, we acquired that B Corp status, and something we're very, very proud of. Also with that, keeping in mind that Kathmandu also acquired a company called Rip Curl that some of you may be familiar with. They make swimsuit apparel and whatnot. They also make wetsuits, which is a hugely petroleum-based waste product, if you will, making those wetsuits. So they acquired their B Corp status. So with that, as the evolution of the brand continues, you'll start seeing products that are recycled in our footwear, which is truly unique in itself too. For instance, we have a new line called the Cottonwood. 35% of the overall cottonwood is recycled product out of the gate. Everything from bloom technology in the outsole to recycled shoelaces, reprieve shoelaces, to molded heel cups with recycled glasses and cups. It's the evolution of byproducts, right? We want to see when that shoe is done and as it continues to break down, our hopes are that eventually when you do get rid of that shoe and you put it in a landfill, that eventually that footwear will break down in a landfill. So we are trying to do our part. We are trying to start somewhere. Every company has to, and we take great strides to make that a reality. With that being said too, we also have an ambassador program, and Carla is one of our gracious ambassadors within Oboz Footwear. We have 9 active ambassadors in our program, and they are just speakers of all things and ambassadors to our brand. And we are hugely thankful to what they continue to contribute to the brand and new faces that they bring to the brand. So keeping in mind, many people ask us, well, are your shoes manufactured in Bozeman? Our shoes are not manufactured in Bozeman. Our shoes are created and conceptualized in downtown Bozeman, but majority of US shoes that are created in the States are manufactured overseas. The takeaway for you to know is that our shoes are not built in China. They are built in Vietnam. They're built in two factories within Cambodia and Vietnam at this time. So we go over there often with our teams for a QC. In fact, our product team is headed over there next week to ensure QC is on board and things are moving forward. So one takeaway for you too, since 2007, we plant a tree for every pair of shoes sold within our company. We just surpassed this last month over 6 million trees since 2007 that we have, planted. We do work with a company called Trees for the Future. What they do is they work in the sub-Sahara African desert. Actually, we are working with them right now in Tabora, Tanzania, on a forest garden. This forest garden, many people don't realize, is that in Africa, they don't burn coal. They generally still burn wood. So we're helping create that back supply. The forest garden, also the trees grow around this forest, this garden, if you will, keeps the elements out, acts as a shade process for fruits and vegetables. We also give a 4-year education to the individuals that are managing that farm. We have been on this project in Tabora, Tanzania for the last 4 years, and we're pretty proud of what it started out to where it is today, providing jobs, providing education, fruits, vegetables, and a major heat source. So I'm going on here more and more and more. The one thing I wanted to keep in mind too is many people, when they think about a B Corp status, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Climate, right? Well, with that being said, it's much more than just climate. It's about community and circularity. We at Oboz take great pride, again, in building our ambassador program, much like what I mentioned about Carla earlier, to the folks that we work with. We also work with an organization called Black Folks Camp 2. It's about getting people of color out into the outdoor space and making them feel comfortable and getting them engaged in the outdoor space. They are a great partner. We also work with the Montana Racial Equality Project, Over 50 Outside, and Continental Divide Trail Coalition are just to name a few. So keep in mind that roughly about 280 hands touch our feet before they go to a shoe shelf. So from a quality control perspective, you can be rest assured that the materials, the patterns, the outsole, the midsole, more importantly, the insole in Oboz, really takes the time to get properly touched and built from the ground up. I know I'm just roughly right at about 20 minutes here, Carla, so I know you wanted to keep this quick. Again, the premise of our company is all about fit. I don't know if many of you know what a Brannock device is, or may not know what a Brannock device is, but that's that metal tool that measures 3 things: length, width, and arch. When you go to the shoe shop, go ahead and ask to get your foot properly measured. Again, I talked about gravity, and as we age, our feet tend to splay and press out. It's important that at least every 2 years you get both your left and your right foot properly measured, both sitting and standing measurements. Why? Sitting is one thing. What happens when we stand up? Again, our foot splays out, right? So you want to keep in mind too that Oboz offers a number of our footwear in a wide option too. Remember I talked about that V-shaped last. Nothing's going to be compromised in the heel. You're going to get that nice snug hug, if you will, in the heel. But as you get into the wider options, you get wider up in the front of the foot where people need it the most. If you haven't tried our brand, I'd encourage you to try our brand. We have an agnostic approach at Oboz, meaning it's okay if you don't fit in our footwear. We're more valued at the fact that you're taking the time to get educated on foot health and foot hygiene. I know we've got more of that in the conversation with our next guest speaker. But with that being said, we're okay with you not getting our footwear. We just like the fact that you're taking the time to find the right fit. How many of you have gotten that pair of shoes because you like the color, you like the design, you you like the general aesthetics of the footwear, but when you put it on the foot, you want to like it, you want to love it, you want to wear it, and it just ends up killing your foot. That happens so many times. And we're okay with that. We'd rather you take the time to find the right fit. And the right fit starts with that Brannock device and properly getting your foot measured. So, and lastly, always taking a look at the insole in your footwear. The big takeaway for Oboz is we offer what we refer to as the O-Fit insole. It's got, dual density EVA foam. It's got a medium arch support. It's got pour-on gel tabs under the heel and under the forefoot that add increased comfort. And it's got that locking hug in the heel. More importantly, it's got an attractive price point. Many of you know for a custom orthotic, when you go to the shoe shop, it runs anywhere from 60 on up to $100. Our aftermarket insole retails at about $32.95. So for an aftermarket insole, it's a great alternative at that medium arch support and really just works well for any footwear, regardless if it's Oboz or not. So I know we could keep talking, and I would love to take questions at any point if and when it's appropriate in the conversation. But I know I want to be cognizant of our next guest speaker and keep this conversation going. Bottom line, we appreciate all of you. And, Carla and the 52 Hike Challenge has been an outstanding partner and continues to be an outstanding partner and is right at the wheelhouse of the kind of individuals we like to see in our footwear. So good luck to you on your challenge. We just got done with our Trails for Trees challenge. For instance, for every hike that you go on, we plant a tree. We just surpassed over 22,000 trees that we are planting as a company. It was a month-long event. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes. 22,892, almost 23,000 trees we will be planting due to people like you that realize that hiking is much more than just going out for a hike. It's about mental, it's about physical awareness, it's about being one in nature and finding yourself, much like all of you are finding every day on your hikes. We appreciate all of you. And again, if you haven't tried our footwear, it's okay if they don't work for you. Every foot is different, but we encourage you to get to your local REI or your favorite shoe shop, try our footwear on. More importantly, maybe pick up one of our insoles and start with our insole there. You should be noted that at least every 2 years, you should be examining the insole in your footwear and see if it is packed out. Foot hygiene, and our next guest speaker will tell you that it starts with your feet. If your feet aren't happy, you aren't happy. If you aren't happy, the people around you probably aren't happy. So foot health, and we deal with through hikers and people doing extended hiking, people that are doing hiking on a regular basis. If you don't have proper arch support or a good insole in your footwear, you're not doing justice and you're just not going to be happy. And it's not good, happy, healthy hygiene, foot hygiene. So with that, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you give our footwear a chance down the line.
Thank you so much, Scott. I was having to um, play on the back end here. We had an issue with the meeting link. Apparently, the link when you click on it wasn't coming to the meeting. So I was emailing like 20 people. So I'm sad to hear that probably 20 other people didn't get in here.
Oh no.
I sent an email with like the corrected link and made sure it worked. So
Yeah.
I think what happened was the link in itself wasn't working, but if you copy and paste the link, it would have allowed you in. It happens, you know, these things happen sometimes. So I'm actually going to do the giveaway a little bit later. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, if anyone has questions for Scott about footwear specific to anything like anything related to, you know, finding the right fit, please put that in the chat and he can respond in the chat. And then in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and um, present our next speaker. So just give me 1 second. And thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate.
Yeah, if I could just add one thing, Carla, if you remember correctly, I think it was probably on our last meeting here. The last meeting I was at 52, my house got struck by lightning. And I was knocked out of this meeting. It took siding off the side of my house. It was scared the living daylights out of me and my family. So I made it through this meeting. Maybe not all of you did, but I made it through. So I am happy. So
Thank you, Scott. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to um, all right. So our next speaker, give me 1 sec. I'm just starting my slide again, is Mariela Rodriguez, and she is going to be talking on mobility for hikers. And I'm actually going to just give you a little quick bio on Mariela. Mariela is actually living in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I met her here and but she's from Puerto Rico and she's a certified nutritional educator, trainer, mobility specialist, and yoga teacher. Movement and good nutrition has brought her healing, mindfulness, and awareness. And through that, she her classes are full of education, alignment, functional movement, breath work, and some humor. She's a fantastic person. I can't wait to see what she's going to teach us and talk about, especially being someone who's out on our feet so much doing the challenge. I know how important it is to really take care of ourselves and our health. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass the record out, or I'm going to pass the mic out to Mariela. And Mariela, let's go ahead and.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Hola, hola. So happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I can echo what Scott was talking about, measuring feet. Because at some point I used to work at the foot department, the footwear department in REI. And it was really interesting to get peeps that would come and actually by the time I measured their feet, their size was totally different than what they thought it would be. As you know, our foot changes with each pregnancy, with age, with weight loss, and actually with weight gain as well. But mobility, the thing about mobility is our joints, the freedom of movement, and how the connection of the joints together. We have so many in our bodies, right? The neck, the spine, the shoulders, arms, elbows. But because of the time limitation today, we're going to talk about just from the body down, but know that every single body part we actually use for our hike, whether it's keeping that head up high in our hikes, right? The shoulders when we're using our backpacks, our posture, it all affects our hike. But we often talk about upgrading our apparel, upgrading our shoes, upgrading our socks, but we never upgrade our own joints. And isn't that amazing that we don't give them enough maintenance and enough love and curiosity for them to continue taking us for the long run? Because the name of the game is to continue hiking for as long as we can, right? So if you want to join me in some movement? Want to give this a try? All right, so let's stand up. Let's start with working with hips. Now, this is a common misconception when we're talking about hip openers, how we often hear about people, let's open the hips, and then they start doing this, right? And this is not the entire access that you need for a hip. You need to have 360 access with the hip. If you need to, you can hold on to the chair or hold on to a wall. Can you bring that right leg diagonally across in front of your left? Then from there, can we lift that right knee hip height? See if you can get to that hip height. Good. Now, let's move that right knee right out without losing that balance, without losing that height of that knee. Can you see that? And at this point, I'm looking like Captain Morgan, right? With that knee all the way out. Good. Now from here, bring that heel back and then bring the knee back. And at this point, the torso, we want to hunch in. Don't let it. Keep that torso as upright as you can. And bring that knee as far back as you can. Back, 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 back. See that hip, big extension? And then close the circle together. And once the knees close together, then extend and stand up. All right. Let's try to do this again, but this time in reverse. Take a long deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Bend the knee. Like Game of Thrones, right? Then bring that knee as far back as you can. Good. Then continue bringing that knee out, finding that hip height. Once it finds hip height, then travel that knee from right to left without moving anything else other than that right leg. Then once it's diagonally across, extend the leg, and then let's stand up. All right. Now let's work with the left leg. Take a long deep breath, inhale, and exhale, bring that left leg diagonally across in front of the right. Then bring that left knee hip height as far up as you can. Good. Then bring that knee as far left as you can without losing that hip height. Once you look like Captain Morgan again, bring that heel back, then bring that knee back. Thank you, Dawn. That's awesome. As far back as you can, bring both knees together and then extend. Now in reverse again. Take a long deep breath, inhale, and exhale. Bend the left knee. Bring that left knee as far back as you can. See that hip extension there, right? Then bring that knee as far out as you can without moving anything else in your body. Find that hip height. Then travel from left to right. All the way until it's diagonally across. Then extend and then stand up. All right, so this is just a taste of what a hip opener is. These are actually called hip cars. Our hip cars stand for circular articular rotation, controlled articular rotation. And it's part of a system called FRC, functional range conditioning. Thank you so much, Julie. So one of the things about these hip openers is that often we work a lot on the maximum gluteus, right? Because that's the sexy one. But this has the entire system working together. And there's a lot of stabilizers on the medium gluteus, which actually helps us with our balance as we hike. And there are a lot of other different variations on this, like I can do this laying on my side, from a quadruped position in a tabletop position. But I wanted to show you doing it standing up, because there's a lot of balancing required, even though it's a little bit hard. But we need to work on our balance so we can continue hiking successfully, injury-free, for as long as we can. I often like to say in my classes that it's not that someone is clumsy or has bad balance, it's that they don't intentionally train their balance. So let's intentionally train our balance as often as we can. With that in mind, let's move on to the knees, shall we? We can sit down on the floor. All right. Yes, the knees. So there's a whole bunch of things with the knees. We often think of knees as something to extend and flex, but we never think about them having an actual capacity for rotation, and we need them to be able to rotate. And they rotate when you unclip from your Peloton. They rotate when you're coming in and out of the shower. They rotate when you're coming in and out of a car, something we do every day, right? So sitting down onto the floor, let's hug that thigh towards our chest, bringing the arms under that thigh. See that? It looks like a jiu-jitsu move, right? All right. So yes, I've had plenty of people with knee surgeries in my classes to do this. Check this out. I'm going to bring a rotation of the knee going as far right as you can. Notice how it may look like I'm moving my foot right, but the rotation comes from the knee. Can you see how my shin line is moving right? Good. Now from here, let's extend that leg up, maintaining that external rotation. Then internally rotate, and then bring it right back. Externally rotate, extend, internally rotate, bring it back. And then in the opposite direction, start with that internally rotation, and then extend, externally rotate, bring it back, internally rotate, extend, externally rotate, and bring it back. So notice how this movement is also flossing the nervous system and working the entire system of ankle, knee, hip, working together. If you have a boo-boo, if you have an injury, sometimes we want to concentrate on the knee because that's where you might feel the pain. If you want to have long-lasting results with your rehab or with your prehab, right? Work the entire system. The knee is not an only child. She's a middle child. I had a gentleman in one of my private sessions who was coming to me with knee sensations, and he thought that the problem was the knee. And as I did an assessment, turned out that it was weakness in the hip that was coming up. So remember to work the entire system. So now working down, let's start working on the ankle. Are you ready? So the ankle, I'm going to bring one arm under my thigh, the other forearm in front, and I'm going to lift that foot off the ground. Now I'm going to try to create as big of a circle as I can. Ankle cars, controlled articular rotations. So notice how slow I'm going. If you do this crazy thing right? That is not helpful because you're not working the edge of the range of motion of that entire joint. But continue working, finding that edge, fight for more. And think about as if you had a Sharpie right between your big toe and the next toe, right? And you're trying to draw a circle. And feel, where does it feel sticky? Where does it feel smooth and open? And I'm moving nothing else other than that foot. See how slow that is? And then from there, we can rotate in the opposite direction. In slow motion, find that edge of that rotation of that ankle. All right. So now that whole thing with the ankle rotation, you might not know this, but in my 20s, I used to roll my left ankle all the time. And then I was not aware that certain injuries make a comeback. And sometimes they make a comeback with a vengeance. And I was limping and I was it was very painful. I had to stop running. I even standing up, teaching classes, it would be very painful for me. And one of the things that helped me rehabilitate so that I could run again, hike again, pain-free, was this therapy of opening the joints with this therapy that I'm teaching you right now. So that was ankle cars. Now, are you ready to work on toes? All right, let me move the camera so we can see. All right, my friends. Oh, yes. So one of the problems with rolling the ankle is that since we roll the ankle, then we're always afraid of getting back to that same angle, right? Where you rotate, and you see how my ankle is right now. This is often the position where we injure ourselves. And we are afraid to revisit this angle, and it creates a weakness. And like the saying says, right? You're only as strong as your weakest link. So having those ankle rotations will be very, very helpful with rehab your ankle and also prehab your ankle. Now with the toes, toe cars. Let's see if we can bring all 5 toes up, all 5 toes down, all 5 toes up. Notice that I'm not lifting the foot in the process, it's just the toes. Then bring them back down. Again, inhale and exhale, bring all 5 toes up, all 5 toes down. Good. Now I'm going to push down through my big toe as I'm bringing only the 4 little piggies up. 4 little piggies down, 4 little piggies up, 4 little piggies down. One more time. 4 little piggies up, 4 little piggies down. Now we're going to change it again. Press down through the 4 little piggies as you're bringing only the big toe up. If you're not managing to find separation, but you're noticing flickering of all those muscles up here on the top of your foot, that's a good sign. That means that they want to create a connection. And bring it back down. Inhale and exhale, big toe up, big toe down. Uno más, big toe up, big toe down. Now for the last round, we're going to bring all 5 toes up, separate them, and then firmly plant them onto the mat one by one. Again, 5 toes up, separate them, firmly plant them onto the mat. Uno más. 5 toes up, separate them, and then firmly plant them onto the mat. All right. So what is the big deal with having toes that can achieve dorsiflexion. So dorsiflexion, the more ability you have to maneuver from your toes, notice how they bring actually a lot of aspect to our balancing when we're standing up, right? If you were to do the toe cars from a standing up position, sometimes I see bodies wobbling around, moving, fighting for the balance. All right. So sometimes you might notice this, but the more dorsiflexion you have, the more recovery you can have from a fall, from your balance, right? The toes, having strong toes can make you a better hiker. Because as we propel, right, they help you push, moving forward, moving from one leg to the other. You are always using the toes, and the toes are supporting us, especially when we're hiking and the surfaces are so uneven, right? They're not as smooth as in a yoga studio or in a gym. But having that mobility of being able to maneuver your toes, to be able to have your ankles maneuver and rotate, can help you maneuver the rough surfaces, the uneven surfaces a lot better. All right, that toe thing and that ankle thing should be also helpful with plantar fasciitis. Notice how much of an extension, of a stretch I'm getting at the bottom of my foot when I'm lifting my toes. Often some of the contraptions for therapy for plantar fasciitis, that's what it does, right? It keeps those toes permanently flexed. So as you're working on the toes, you can do the toe cars when you're sitting in your office, when you're watching TV. It doesn't take a lot of space and a lot of time. Just, 3 cycles of each every day or as often as you can. It makes a big difference. I think of it as brushing my teeth. I don't brush my teeth for half an hour on Sunday and forget about it for the rest of the week, right? A little bit every day keeps you with shiny teeth. Now, going back to what Scott was saying about the landing of the foot, it was pretty old school back in the 80s, how they were talking about pronation and then supination, right? About, oh, thank you, Gigi. I'm so happy that you're finding this very beneficial. This pronation and supination, and then they would give you that diagnosis, and then people would try to overcorrect their bad stepping, their bad landing. What I like to think about is actually a landing pad, a triangle between the bottom of my toes and the heel. So always try to land in that landing pad instead of overcorrecting with your step, and notice how big of a difference it will make. Another trick that I have noticed is that sometimes when I'm hiking and I have very strong sensations in my knee, and notice that I said strong sensations, be very mindful of what you're feeling in your body, because your body is always telling you something. It's always trying to tell you something. Pain is a sacred messenger, trying to tell you that we need to change something, whether it's your training, your shoes, your lifestyle, your nutrition. It's trying to tell you something. So if you start with paying attention to sensations, it doesn't have to get all the way to pain. It's kind of like the clack, clack, clacks of a car. If you leave the clack, clack, clack for later, then the clack, clack, clack would turn into a broken down car and a very expensive mechanic bill, right? Same thing with the body. when you're feeling those strong sensations in your knees as you're hiking, pay attention. How are you landing? How are you stepping? Right? How are your hips? How are your feet? How are your ankles? And that might be very, very helpful with how you're landing. And notice how your landing might help with feeling sensations in your knee. Does that make sense? And let me see what else. Two more things. These hip cars, knee cars, ankle cars, I did mention 3 rotations on each direction with each leg, should be very beneficial. If you can build up to 2 whole minutes on each leg, that would be super awesome. You will see long-lasting results if you can build up to 2 minutes. It's not a long time. It's a good investment. Nerve cells that no longer wire together, no longer fire together. So continue cultivating a relationship with those neglected and unsung heroes of our toes and our ankles and our knees and our hips, right? Because we often don't think of them until we actually have a boo-boo, right? And often in my classes, I like to caress our knees, caress our toes, and say thank you, because they truly support us every day. They really do. Thank you so much, Sue. I'm so happy that you're loving this. Because we have this love-hate relationship with our bodies, right? We are always finding the defects, and I don't have the 6-pack or whatever it is that you want to change about your body. But it's such an amazing blessing to be able to have these amazing bodies and be able to go outside and hike and create happy memories. It's such an amazing thing. It just blows me away every time I think of it, and how grateful I am that this body allows me to connect with people, connect with nature, and have so many beautiful memories. So yeah, if you're liking what I'm sharing here today, I would like to invite you to follow me on Instagram. It's called An Invitation from Mariela. Every day I try to present a little invitation, something that inspires me, something about mobility, joint health, about getting to a certain age and how we're still, trying to pursue our movements and health. Because if we shift our mindset of movement, it's not really about how we look in these bodies, but how do we feel? We do this for feeling. So let's move for feeling instead of looks, and you will see how it would drastically change your results and your lives. Muchas gracias, mis amores. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here today. Any questions that you might have, or
Well, in the meantime, thank you, Mariela. We recorded this. I just added your link to the chat so everyone can follow you. And then is there a way for anyone to work with you directly? Like, do you have online classes or anything?
I can totally do one-on-ones on Zoom. I am intending to create a library of videos for the future. But that's in the future. But in the meantime, I'm happy to have one-on-ones on Zoom. And if you are in Santa Fe, then we can get together for my classes in person. Thank you,
Wonderful.
Yoko.
Thank you so much.
And gracias, Patricia. I see that you join as well. Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull a number on the random generator. So if you're on the call right now, you're gonna be entered for a chance to win. Unfortunately, there was a glitch with the link. So thank you for all of those that held on or alerted me of the issue. And so I'm going to pull a number and I will announce the person on the call. So just hang tight. Okay, our winner is Diane Lorido. So Diane, if you would email me with your information, I will send you the information on how to claim your free pair of Oboz footwear. Since we had a glitch on the call today, I'm going to do an extra entry to win a pair of shoes in a different way. So I will send the instructions for that giveaway in the next email that will include the link to this recording. So if you missed anything with Mariela, you will be able to replay it. Please do these exercises. I know how much we need to take care of our bodies. I know how much our bodies need stretching. So everything Mariela brought to the table was so important. Scott, thank you for talking about the importance of fit, making sure we have the right footwear when we're outside. And thank you so much to everyone. I also have a couple of quick announcements. I know it's almost time for our call. So let me go ahead and just pull my last little notes here so that I can share those with you. Give me 1 second here. And here we go. Let's go ahead and June meeting is coming up Wednesday, June 5th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. I don't have the topic yet, but I will announce it soon. And moving forward, I've just made the decision that we're going to open up meetings to all. We will also have a free pair of shoes on that call. And then don't forget, we have tons of events happening all around the nation. If you go to our website, 52hikechallenge.com, search events, it's one of the tabs. You can see the events that are going on. We have over 50 chapters and leaders leading these hikes. So please get out there and meet new people and make new friends. And if you missed it, we just launched our latest edition of our journey journal so that you can hike when you're out doing your 52 hike challenge with new quotes. It really helps to support the challenge and bring tons of amazing content to you. So thank you so much. And please let me know if you have any questions. Happy to respond to anything here in the chat. We have a lot of great feedback. Thank you so much, everyone. All right. Any final closing notes, Mariela or Scott, before we jump off?
Just one little anecdote, if I may. At one time, I was in the Olympic National Park, and we were doing a hike. I was not ready for 21-mile hike. I thought we were just going to do a little mini, 3 or 4 hour hike, not an entire day hike. Holy crap, by the time I was done with 21 miles in one day, I was wrecked. I was very much in pain. These exercises, this therapy that I taught you today helped me to not limp the next day. From bed, I was doing the ankle cars, knee cars, and hip cars, the whole thing. And then the next day, I was able to recover better. So you can use this as a recovery tool as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I know, just finishing, I've been doing a lot of hikes, whether it was the Camino de Santiago or Kilimanjaro, stretching was integral. I mean, I would take breaks just to stretch. And sometimes, there's some basic yoga mobility stretches that really can help you to stay for the long course of something like doing a through hike or even a long day hike like Mariela is talking about. So I hope that everyone takes advantage of the recording and uses it when they get home. You can hit play when Mariela starts, and especially, taking care of your toes. So thank you all so much for being a part of this. As I mentioned, I will be back in touch with an email follow-up this week with the link to this recording and another chance to win a pair of Oboz shoes. So thank you all so much. I hope you all have a good night. Bye.